I think it's time that we put some respect on Uruguay's name. Even though they may have a questionable 4 stars on their jersey, La Celeste deserves an apology from anybody who didn't give them love coming into this Copa América. A talented core of players managed by Marcelo Bielsa have never looked more in their element. They're playing some of the most exciting football this summer and have shown no signs of letting up. But things were looking pretty bleak for Uruguay the last time a major international tournament came around. Caught between a generation of greats who brought them into a golden era with rising talent who struggled to perform for the national team. Leading that golden generation was Oscar Tavares, who had managed the Uruguay national team for a spell in the 1980s and then took charge again in 2006. Tavares brought his country to the World Cup semifinals in 2010 and won the Copa América in 2011 on Argentine soil. A respected, veteran manager who perhaps relied a bit too heavily on his veteran players coming into the 2020s. That dependence was on full display during South American qualifying for the 2022 World Cup. In a stretch of crucial qualifiers, Uruguay were dominated in 4 games across the October and November 2021 international breaks, with the final straw being a 3-0 loss to the abysmal Bolivia in La Paz. Tavares was sacked, leaving them in 7th place just outside of the qualification spot. Diego Alonso took his place in December 2021, leading Uruguay on a 4-game win streak which saw them shoot up to 3rd place in CONMEBOL standings, qualifying comfortably for the 2022 World Cup. He inspired the team with an attacking brand of football and improved their performance with the incorporation of sports science and modern tactics, a far cry from the old but steady Tavares. The squad that went to Qatar was still centered around the old golden generation, especially up front, but Alonso was still significantly better at incorporating the youth. A draw and a loss against South Korea and Portugal respectively was far from a dream start to the tournament, with their final game against Ghana having some added significance considering the events that transpired 12 years earlier. You know what I'm talking about. Uruguay routed the Africans, winning 2-0 with the possibility for more goals denied by some questionable officiating. A low scoreline sealed Uruguay's fate, as Korea beat Portugal 2-1. You see, the two were level on points and goal difference, but Korea had scored 4 goals in the group stage, besting Uruguay's 2, which sent the tournament's first ever winner packing. Images of blue jerseys converging on the referee at full time felt indicative of something seriously wrong with this team, who still seemed to be clinging to any scrap of their former glory. It didn't help spirits that their neighbor and arch-rival Argentina lifted the trophy for a 3rd time when it was all said and done. After the World Cup, Diego Alonso didn't renew his contract. This left the national team at a crossroads with some big-name coaches on the market. Marcelo Bielsa stood out, as the Argentine was also courted very heavily by the Mexican Federation. He had vast experience at the international level, managing Argentina and Chile, while also plying his trade across many of Europe's top leagues. Spending most games iconically perched atop a cooler, El Loco Bielsa is considered one of the most influential tacticians of the modern era, serving as a major inspiration to the likes of Pep Guardiola, Mauricio Pochettino, Diego Simeone, and even Zinedine Zidane. Not to mention that Bielsa spends most of his time living in the Uruguayan countryside as is, the call seemed to be a no-brainer despite his hefty wage demands. In March of 2023, with the commencement of CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying looming, the AUF made Marcelo Bielsa the highest paid national team manager in the Americas through 2026. He used his initial June friendlies against Nicaragua and Cuba to build a good atmosphere in the squad, implementing limited tactics. Crucially, Bielsa omitted veterans Luis Suarez, Edinson Cavani, and Fernando Muslera from the squad, all stalwarts of the Tavares era frozen out of the team in favor of some much-needed fresh blood. El Loco also confirmed Federico Valverde as the captain, a bold move in a youthful direction. Bielsa's first competitive games as manager came in September, once again without the veterans in the team, starting off with a 3-1 win over Chile and a 2-1 loss in Quito. This Uruguay team would really kick off in the October international break, with a hard-fought 2-2 away in Colombia and a win against Brazil at the Estadio Centenario that broke a 22-year-long losing streak thanks to goals by Darwin Núñez and Nicolás de la Cruz. The vibes were so incredible at the next international break they even brought Luis Suarez back into the fold for a daunting matchup against Argentina at La Bombonera. Goals from Ronald Araujo and Darwin Núñez both started from a devastating Uruguay press and led them to their first victory against Argentina away ever in World Cup qualifying. They have been unbeaten since trouncing the world champions, who post-game admitted that they weren't able to cope with the intensity of Uruguay's play. Bielsa ball was in full swing. Uruguay have looked unstoppable ever since, with every player looking at their absolute best for the national side. Those who may have struggled for club form, such as Manuel Ugarte, Facundo Pellistri, and Matias Viña, look reborn in this team. The rotating duo of Georgian de Arrascaeta and Nico de la Cruz are lethal in transition, but often relatively neglected because they play for a South American club. Darwin Núñez got those braids and is firing on all cylinders, the defense has found its stride, and Fede Valverde is tireless as ever as they look to guide their country to a record 16th Copa América title. Bielsa has found a balance between the radical youth-based approach and respecting Uruguay's elders, as he still included Suarez in his Copa América squad. In this year's group stage, the Uruguayans scored 9 goals in their opening 3 3 games and put 4 past Mexico in a pre-tournament friendly. What's more is that this team is incredibly exciting to watch. They're attacking, always a threat. Nunez causes more fruitful chaos than he does at Liverpool, and you get to see talent that doesn't get much attention in mainstream media, such as the aforementioned Flamengo duo, as well as Maxi Araujo on the wing. That's not even to mention that Rodrigo Bentancur doesn't even start most games because he'd throw off the balance of the team, but still makes an impact off the bench. A country of 3.4 million inhabitants is understandably viewed as an underdog on most occasions, but this side are genuinely in the conversation for the best national team in the world at the moment, and certainly one of the favorites for this Copa América as well. The only thing to look out for is possible burnout, something that has happened across virtually every team that Bielsa manages. His methods are taxing on the players, and though they typically work to brilliant effect when he starts out somewhere new, as time goes on, players and even some staff struggle to meet his demands and begin to underperform. I find this unlikely, however, as the infrequency of international breaks during the season means that the players have less time to be worn out by him. Therefore, the kind of decline that was seen with his Leeds team in 2022 would probably not be repeated in this Uruguay team. Either way, if it were to happen, he has been in charge for barely a year, so the odds of the players being totally spent before the Copa América ends is next to none. Besides, all the players have spoken very highly of him and the way in which he's improved the entire squad, which is shown in the results. El Loco is also in charge of the Olympic squad, as Uruguay are desperate to repeat their 1924 gold medal in Paris a century later, which actually gave them the first of those 4 stars. He's already won gold for his home country, so it will be interesting to see if he can replicate that with their neighbors. But what do you think? Can Uruguay go all the way and win their first trophy since 2011? With Bielsa in charge, can they maybe dream of a 3rd World Cup? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you'd like to see more of in the future. For now, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.